Hey, good morning, traders. How you doing? Doing a little weekend analysis recap of what we did this week, and I just wanted to start off by reminding us that we are uh, following the impulse leg. The impulse leg comes down. It starts to build a shelf, right? You see people line up here, and you can see when the wash comes in, these guys get popped, right? Step one, impulse. Step two, shelf. Step three, wash. Step four, retest. Step five, enter. I took this trade. I got stopped out. Now, what I was trying to figure out is why did this not work? And after it happened, and even when it was about to happen, I took this trade because it's part of my setup. I have to take the trades that I see because I'm a 30 to 40% win rate. And with a 3-to-1 trade, it keeps me in the green. And I would rather have a plan than no plan at all. And my feelings don't matter. But in hindsight, I kind of thought about this and what I was trying to do. Did I force this trade? I mean, I've got a really nice shelf here where these guys are being built, building it up. And I've got my kill zone lined up here. So we got a retest of the kill zone. You could break this down in a lot of ways, but I like to keep it simple. I like to keep it as easy as I can to try to manage, because there's so much going on, so many distractions, so many things. And hey, and remember, we have a member site, Make Money Day Trading at Patreon. It's only $25 a month, and we're talking trades all the time. I'm not upselling you on some course or anything, but I found it helpful to have a mentor when I started that could just talk through some of this stuff because there's so many things. Shoulda, coulda, wouldas, um, impulse trading, over trading, over leveraged, all these things that are going to drive you out of the business because there's just you have to be disciplined enough to follow your system, even though in like this case, when this bar hit, it was such a big bar. I mean, I don't know if you can even if we can really let's try to zoom in. Like this is such a big bar. So my point is that we'd love to have you over at Patreon. Um, and help you kind of go on this journey because you can do it absolutely 100%, but you're gonna have to dig into your soul to make this work. And there's lots of us out there making money doing this thing, so don't feel like it's impossible to do. But that bar hit was such a force, and I was watching it because I was in it. But just look at this action here: the hard up, the hard down, and that's just all the machines hitting all the stops. And then it kind of like started petering around. I've got my order right here with my stop up here. I'm like, oh man. And then I couldn't even get into a break even situation or sometimes if it takes off from here, I'll get in there like that and just, condense my risk. Um, because I don't know, but I took a full on hit on this thing here and I managed it properly, or I leveraged properly. I wasn't over leveraged, and that's the way it went. Um, and then I just kind of kept looking at this thing, like what was it? Where could I have done this differently? One of the things that I did here is in my post trading notes is I like to have this wash to hide behind. And it's really kind of weird, and maybe I'll work into something about it as I And this is why we do this stuff. This is why we play with it like it's clay, because we want to observe. We want to learn from price. Price is telling us something, and the better we can read it, the higher our percentage rate goes up. I'm accepting that I'm going to lose. I know I'm going to lose. Anybody that says they're 100% win rate is not telling you the truth. They are not. My friend is a scalper, and he has a system, and he's probably 80 to 90%, but he's in and out of the market over and over and over and over and over and over again. And so his system allows him um, to have um, that high percentage, because he's not laying out the risk that I do, or he's waiting for certain confirmations. There's certain things that he's developed on his own as a trader over the years that he's done it, and uh, and we're all that way. Any trader that has been at this for a long time has gone through um, all the different scenarios, and if they've stuck with it and they've figured it out, then they have developed their own system. And that's what we're trying to do here, is just come up with a very basic system that you can grow from. And and I have other trades that I make. I mean, I don't pretend to say that this is the only one I follow. There's things that I see that I don't teach, because I just want to keep it simple. So that's my lecture. But I like to hide behind a wash, right? If we're going to hide behind a wash, you know, this is a wash. How's it a wash? It cleaned that guy out, right? This is a wash. How is this a wash? It cleaned these guys out, right? But the point being is that orders came down. There's a stop right behind here that somebody put there, and this price just blows right through it. There's stops here, there's stops here, there's stops here, and so I can kind of say I'm going to safely hide behind this, because it kind of gives me an idea of what, if price comes back up into here, and it sure did try, right? It tried to just come right up into there, and then it falls, right? So it doesn't really qualify for this one, but it sure did try, you know. And there's some stuff in here that I look at, but I don't. Anyhow, so once price came down, boom, popped me out, and then it did its little thing, and I was just watching, because I was like, well, geez, maybe I don't know what's going on. And I did like everybody. Well, what's going on over here? Is it going to bounce into somebody? There's nothing there. Whatever. I'm not. I fall into that too. Like, well, what is it running into? And I map it out, and I definitely try to understand it on a deeper level. And so Price did this weird thing, and I don't think it did hit on that point there. It tried to go up there and hit that. So in some respect, it did have the impulse. It did build a shelf. And ultimately, the wash was at the end, right? There was a guy with an order right here. They had their stops right there, and this guy just popped it. So this one didn't work out, and they don't always work out. And I'm not pretending that they do, but I'm certainly interested to know why. What was it about this? This whole thing. And you could easily say, well, next time just sell this line. Okay, I can't do that. I can do that in hindsight. Can't really do it in real time, right? Can't really do it in real time. So then, what happened for the rest of the day? What happened for the rest of the day? I boom, 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 boom. Like I told you, I trade from about 7:15, somewhere in here, to about this over here. 10:30, 11 o'clock, 11:30 maybe, depending on where I'm at. I mean, and I'm not sitting in front of my computer every tick doing every, I've got other stuff that I've got going on. So I'm I've got it in the background. And if I see my setup start to show itself, there's 12, I'll say 11:45. If I see my setup start to form up, I posted one the other day, and it started to shape up, and it didn't follow through. So if you're a member, you probably saw that post and you were like, either you didn't care or not. I mean, who knows? I'm hoping you guys can jump on to some of these things. But I don't live trade because I don't want you to take every trade that I trade because we're different. Um, that's how that works. But yeah, we have a shelf again. And I'm just drawing this as I see. I mean, it all starts from the impulse leg. Now you can say, well, Mike, what about this this impulse? Well, let's check it out, right? We have an impulse up here, and we're in my zone, and then we have a small test of the high, and then so step one, impulse, step two. Okay, so we're back on this side here, so we need to find a shelf in here. Okay, so we've got to find a shelf in here, and this impulse is way too long for me to like think that this is it. If I need to see, and you guys are going to make me pull out the Fibonacci, aren't you? You're just going to make me do it. Oh, I knew it. I knew it. So there are times I draw the Fibonacci up because I want to see 50% of this swing. Oftentimes, if you look at the swings as they lay out, they'll land somewhere in the 50% mark, and then they bounce off that or they blow through it. There's a reaction off of it. You can see this right here, right? That guy had orders on the 50, and it tried and it failed, and then he got washed out, the whole thing. So that's kind of back of the envelope. If I see something high off a swing like that, I'm not like, that might be my shelf, right? Let's just say that's the shelf there. And so now I'm going back to my 50. I'm looking for something down here to be the bottom of the pullback so it can have a reaction leg. And that's just it, if that didn't exist, I would say, okay, this is now something more interesting, but even this shelf is weird. It just doesn't, after you see these for a while, right, forget it. So that's kind of why I wasn't really interested in that. But I map this out as it comes down, going through my impulse leg down. Okay, I see a shelf here. Okay, that's really the only shelf I have, but really deep pullback. If you want to say, hey, Fibonacci, boom, 50's right here. It pulls almost way back the whole swing. So that's why I don't really trust the Fibonacci either, because I just use it as a tool. I mean, let's go back to something here. Let's just see. I mean, this is probably where, look at all that action on the 50, right? Bounces through their zooms, washes it out, then it lands back on the 50, comes on up, boom, tests the backside of the 50 twice, and then drops. There's a lot going on. That's why we have to really clean this up. So when we come into, and I get confused. I always get confused, and I have to redo and redo. And that's why I have this channel, because it helps me think through the process that I'm going through. I'm almost done. And no, I guarantee you nobody's listening at this point. It really doesn't. It really doesn't matter. I know that you guys tapered off at the beginning. So, but this is all for me. So I have my impulse. I have my pressure cooker here. I got this here, right? And it's 7:45. Okay, it comes down, makes the shelf, starts to pull back. Oof, doesn't really do it. Doesn't really do it. All the way up here, and I'm just like, oh, geez, maybe it's a turn. And then price starts to fall back down here, and then it bounces off of here, right? It retests, right? Because there's buyers here, they buy it up. This order, somebody just put orders right there. A lot of people just put orders there. Boom, gets shoved back down, gets shoved back down. But notice this piece here. It's a zoom, right? Pow, 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 pow. Three quick bars in 9:43 to 9:43. I mean, this happened less than a minute. They sold it off right up here, dropped it, just boom, dropped it. Someone picked it up. New low, so the buyers are buying up, falls apart, tries again, and then just keeps going. Now, why do I say all this? Because A, we have a new impulse. And now I know that this thing's not going to hold as a structure. I don't have to look to the left to be like, oh, what's going to happen on the right? I can just say, okay, I'm just going to follow this out. Look at that. There's my shelf. Bingo, right? There's my shelf. 1, 2, 3. Again, watch this on 1.5 times so you're not bored. Impulse down. I say the pressure cooker is kind of like down here somewhere. Impulse there. And then it starts to climb, bump, 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 does this thing. So it does a wash, doesn't follow through. Oh, sad face. No trade for you. But it's also 12:30. It's not in my buy time. So, but that's it, guys. Don't worry about catching every trade. It's not a strategy. It's a feeling that you have. It's like you taking the extra cookie or getting the extra mile in the run or whatever it is. It's like you're feeling, oh, I feel good. I should do this. Yeah, that's not how it works. You got to have a setup you can work. And you have to be able to figure out how to manage that. Why do I say that? Because there's times that I look at this, maybe I am feeling antsy and I want to get really tight. So I just say, okay, I want to trade this swing here. And then I'm going to say, well, Mike, let's do the Fibonacci thing. I say, okay, great. Oh, yeah, look, it worked, right? It worked. So now I feel better about the length of this whole thing. And I can see how it's starting to map out to this whole thing. Impulse leg up. Shelf, I've got 1 and maybe 2. Let's call it 2 right there, right? You got this hit. So now you feel better about it. You got the wash. You've got the retest here. You enter right there. And then you go, how much do I want to risk? Boom. There's your trade right there. Right? What more do you need in life than to just, get good at understanding this whole thing? Now, I didn't hit this trade. Once I kind of lose a couple trades, my motivation and blah, 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 I don't want to force it. I can't force it because then it's changing from my this is how I trade to this is me trying to find something to trade. Just because I have a hammer, it doesn't mean everything's a nail. All right. So take that with you, and I'm going to take a snapshot of this just so I can show you guys on my. I got to put the marketing up here. Hold on a second, guys. I know nobody's listening to this. Don't worry about it. It's just me. Some guy in like 20 years and be like, oh, hey, look at this. This guy knows what he's doing. Money, day trading, patreon.com. It's only $25. Daily updates. I throw out like a little morning analysis around 5:30. I try and get it as close to 6 as I can. And then, so it gives you kind of like, like, okay, what do I need to be thinking about? Let's just, we're here for one reason. It's to make money. It's not to be great chart readers. It's not to be great at anything other than pushing your winning percentage up, taking the 3-to-1 trades and putting risk behind you and putting it or minimizing it so it's not as terrifying. Don't overtrade. Don't over leverage. It keeps you in the business, keeps you in the game. Tell your friends. Appreciate you guys showing up.